In 1996, I filmed an action on the Indonesian embassy in London involving activists and refugees from East Timor.
Jangan membunuh orang Timur Timur.
We've got a letter to deliver to the embassy, please.
What is it regarding?
Pardon?
What is it regarding?
It's regarding the occupation of East Timor.
When the Indonesians landed here, they began an operation that has been compared in its savagery with Pol Pot's takeover of Cambodia. Hundreds of people were gunned down in the streets, in schools, in shops, in their homes, in the hospital. Live grenades were thrown into houses. Women and girls were raped in front of their families. The Indonesian troops had been told that the East Timorese were communists and primitives who threatened the very existence of Indonesia itself. The strategy was clearly to terrorize an entire nation.
The Santa Cruz massacre was just 5 years earlier. It was very much on all our minds that day. The world could no longer ignore the genocide in East Timor. British arms sales to Indonesia had to stop.
Please look in over there. Over there. Today you must defend the weak. Yes.
I will try.
It was wonderful to witness their sense of empowerment and hope for change.
Viva Timor-Leste! Viva! Viva Xanana Gusmão! Viva! Coramela, coramela, sabe asli tutu sabe beli loloe. Adelo rasti kuda talie.
You'd be shot for doing far less than this in Indonesia, and especially East Timor. In January 1996, 4 women broke into a British aerospace arms factory in Walton, Lancashire, to disarm a Hawk fighter bound for Indonesia and East Timor.
I just assumed that we would be caught almost immediately. I mean, it was inconceivable to us that you know, we could get through all this British aerospace security and nobody would notice that we were there. And so we felt, you know, we need to go for it immediately. There's no time to be hanging around. So after we'd done all that, still nobody had come. We went outside and we thought, well, we'll wave at the security vehicles as they drive past and let them know that we're here. We did that, but there was no response. They didn't see us at all. There were cameras all over the outside of the building, and we actually danced in front of the cameras, in the moonlight. And again, there was no response. I think the cameras can't have been switched on.
Went a bit through Angie's radio interview, looked briefly at the amount of damage and said it was still debatable, but as of today the costs stand at £1,518,416.
The good people of St Michael's Church put me up for a week.
There wasn't anybody else around at the time. In fact, British Aerospace security was so inept that didn't get to them for 2 hours, I understand
it. Can't be disputed at all if anyone had been in the court to listen to the women putting their case and defending themselves and being cross-examined. It's the composure and the sincerity that they put into it, which can only be reckoned by knowing that they are prepared to do this and be apart away from their families for such a long time if need be. And I don't think anybody can ask of more commitment than that.
Thank God for God. Thank God for Jesus Christ who put love into a confused world. And we thank God for 4 women who gave the gift of their freedom to pour love and compassion instead of crime and genocide.
The bishops here in Liverpool, and the Catholic bishops, but the church leaders of Merseyside too, have responded to the people's interest, and they've written to the government this week telling them that they deplore the fact that Britain is selling Hawk jets to Indonesia while Indonesia is oppressing the people of East Timor this way. They've also addressed the issues of jobs here in Britain, for selling arms here in Britain is a way in which local people, especially in Preston, and we have a lot of sympathy with the people in Preston, look after their families and pay their mortgages. And the bishops have said that people must be ill at ease with this situation, must continue to work out the implications, and we must look for alternative economic ways of supporting ourselves than the oppression and the killing of other people.
The point of selling Hawk aircraft to Indonesia is to give jobs to people in this country. There is no doubt in my mind that there is nothing that a Hawk aircraft can do to suppress the people in East Timor. It is not an aircraft that is suitable for that purpose, and we have guarantees from the Indonesians that they would not be used for internal suppression.
My own family, relatives were killed by Western weapons, so they cannot tell me that Western aircraft, Hawk aircraft sold to Indonesia are not used in East Timor.
I don't expect an outright acquittal. I don't expect a 10-2 or whatever acquittal. I could envisage a hung jury where at least 3 of the jury are convinced that they didn't commit a crime, or they're not convinced that they did commit a crime. In some ways that would be quite a difficult result, because it means we'd have to go through the trial all over again, and the danger would be trying to duplicate the experience of the last week, which is impossible really. It's been a very fresh and new experience, and if there were a second trial, I think that'd be quite a lot of hard work for everyone involved.
to go back out, and they've got to reach a majority decision of 10 to 2 or 11 to 1. You know, 11 to 1. It's got to be a majority.
Right. Okay.
What's happened?
Wow. Excellent. So it's divided.
So it's divided.
Those were probably the most difficult moments during the trial. Yes. The jury were out for about 4 hours trying to reach a unanimous verdict, and over that time it seemed a very long time, and we felt that we'd presented the case as well as we could and that there'd been a lot of good evidence, so we were hopeful, but also it seemed it would be such an amazing thing for the jury to find us not guilty that we hardly dared to believe it.
I suppose I tend to be a bit of a pessimist, and when the foreman stood up, I was just thinking, well, I prepared myself for several years in jail, and here it comes, and that's okay, because what we did was right. But then when he said not guilty, and there was this huge gasp around the courtroom, and he had 7 different verdicts to read out, because there was 4 criminal damage charges and 3 conspiracy charges, and everyone, I mean, we didn't dare breathe until he'd actually read out the last one, and then the whole court erupted, and the judge didn't even try to shut people up.
I'm a very law-abiding person myself, so I find it difficult to contemplate taking hammers to a plane, but they have convinced me really during the course of this trial, by hearing all the evidence, that what they did was absolutely justified. And I really think that something should be done about this, that we should stop exporting arms, not just these planes, but arms to Indonesia.
The British Aerospace injunction, which has just been served on the 4 women who've just been found not guilty of criminal damage and conspiracy to cause criminal damage, and we're going to post it back to them.
I'm still in shock, actually. I can't quite get used to being, you know, sitting here outside in the sunshine, and that we did it. That, you know, there was justice. I mean, justice, I think, is not that often done in British courts, and on this occasion it was, and it's. Yeah, it's tremendous.
It was a day for justice and a day for East Timor.
José Ramos Horta won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1996. He became president of East Timor from 2007 to 2012. In Dili, East Timor, this monument now stands to the Santa Cruz massacre. And because the women won their trial, the police were forced to hand back their hammer. It was later used in an action, also at British Aerospace Wharton, to disarm warplanes bound for Saudi Arabia and the genocide in Yemen. The 2 men involved, the Reverend Daniel Woodhouse and Samuel Walton, who broke in on January the 29th, the 21st anniversary of the women's action, were cleared by a British court.
With my hammer I broke the chain, I did not remain in silence.